Good afternoon, guys. I just want to know when this country's going to wake up, ladies and gentlemen. And not just this country, all the countries around the world. But what I want to talk to you about today is a little bit of where we are with what the government have been doing to us since the 1940s, really. But it's been much worse since 1973 when we signed the ECA Act under Ted Heath. Basically, what that did, it was the beginning of the end for the miners. We all know Maggie Thatcher closed the mines, and the reasoning behind it was that, well, I'll show you what the reason behind it was. Have a look at this first. Right, so that says that the mines and the miners were not sustainable economically, and there was tax guzzlers, which wasn't the case, basically. Because basically what happened was natural gas came along, and it was cheaper to put the pipework in everybody's house and pump the gas straight to there and cut out the middleman, i.e. the miners. So they tried to make the miners work for less money, etc., and with the conditions, knowing full well the miners would kick off. That's exactly what happened, but we didn't know that back then. We do now. And the miners kicked off, as you know, and then that's what ended up having all the mines shut down. So it wasn't because it wasn't viable, and it wasn't because of anything else. It was just basically, ladies and gentlemen, for pure greed and profit by the corporations, the corporate and the government. Did deals with each other, you know, put this in your back pockets, etc. They didn't care about the people who lost their livelihoods. Some people lost their lives through suicides, as it always happens, and people lost their homes, businesses, you know, businesses fell because of it, because they couldn't afford to upgrade. So it destroyed basically the whole of, from the Midlands all up north. It killed it all, and there's millions unemployed because of it. And then let's move on to British Steel. British Steel between 1779 and 1982 had around 150,000 people working in the steel industry. And again, along comes Margaret Thatcher, privatised British Steel in 1988 with a loss of 95,000 jobs. So 55,000 people left working in the steel industry in 1988. But funnily enough, the profit in 1988 was £773 million, which was a lot of money back in 1988, as you will all know. But that wasn't enough. They still decided, nah, we want to get rid of it. Because what they're doing, guys, is to... This is what's led up to where we are now. It's been a slow progression. What they did, the asset stripped this company. And two of our flagship industries, the mining industry and the steel industry, which again affected my area of the Midlands and all up north yet again, it just killed that again. And even more people unemployed. So, you see, it's unbelievable what these people have did. Now, British Steel was sold off for £1, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this. So, guys, as you can see, British Steel was sold off to Tata for £1. £1. One of our flagship industries that we was proud of and was renowned for all around the world, we sold off for £1. And then last year it came to pass, or before I tell you that, the ironic thing with the coal, ladies and gentlemen, is we buy all our coal now. Have a guess where we buy our coal from, ladies and gentlemen? Who are we always moaning about in the news? The mainstream media. The Russians. Well, that's where we buy all our imported coal from. Russia. couldn't make it up, could you? But we've got coal mines here that workable. Could start back up tomorrow and provide jobs. They don't want to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Now back to the steel. We had British Steel now been sold. I think it's this year it's been finally agreed. I'm going to show you now. Have a guess who's bought British Steel, ladies and gentlemen. Another place where everybody moans about, and the British government are always moaning about, the Chinese. The Chinese have bought up British Steel. I think it's 50 million. I'm going to show you the clip here anyway now. Have a look. Not the clip, the article. Right, guys, so as you can see, they destroyed our mining industry. They've decimated the steel industry. And now it's not even owned by us anymore. All done by design, ladies and gentlemen. You need to wake up to what's going on, guys. It's a well-known fact. A strong economy with a workforce that's all working and a banking system and all working with people with plenty of money in the bank and a good job and a future that can work towards cannot be controlled. Because if you already have money, etc., you will fight and you will tell the government, stick that, I'm not doing that. But once they've done what they've done, and everybody now, over the last 30 years, has become reliant on the government. Once you're reliant on the government for this, they can control every aspect of your lives, ladies and gentlemen. Every single aspect. Because you're reliant on those handouts to survive. Whereas when you've got a strong economy and a strong workforce that's all working, you're unbeatable. They can't do the stuff across you, what they can do across you, like they're doing now. Because it's, well, if you don't have this, if you don't do this, we'll stop your money. And that's why it's been done and designed like this. Now, I'm going to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this. If this doesn't wake you up to do something, when you watch this clip here, I don't know what's going to wake you up. Because you're either awake and you don't want to face the truth, because the truth, once you know it, you'll be expected to morally do something about it. So you're either pretending to be asleep, or I don't know what else to say to you. Because if this doesn't wake you up now, what they're doing to you now, and what they have been doing and are going to do to you, you're not called a citizen of the government, well, of the nation, and a citizen towards a government anymore. You are a subject of the government. So in other words, you're subjected to whatever the governments around the world. You're not citizens anymore, you're subjects. So you're subjected to whatever they say, whatever they want you to do, you do. Whatever they say, you can say. You can say what you can't, you can't. Because you're subjected to all of that now. You're not a citizen anymore because we're letting them take all our freedoms and rights away. So please, guys, watch this video. And if this doesn't make you angry and want to start fighting back and I don't mean fist fighting, I mean uniting, standing as one and sorting these people out and getting them to do the right thing or remove them. Because they're not on the people's side. The governments around the world are not on your people's side. None of them. So please, watch this, guys. I'll leave it there. Stay safe. Have a great week. I'll speak to you all soon. I love every single one of you. But just please watch this and share this video. Not this, the one I'm just going to play to you now. And make sure everybody sees it, because we need to wake the people up, guys. It's like I said yesterday, last chance saloon, and we are. So stay safe, and I'll speak to you all soon.
How many of you in the audience have a smartphone with you right now? You know, an iPhone or an Android phone?
It's everything. Right? I want you to imagine that right now there's a Russian company whose entire business is based around the idea of developing a kind of digital burglary tool. And they go by the name the NSO Group. Their product used to work like this. They'd send you a time-sensitive text message with a link in it, something that they think you're likely to click, like a package delivery notification or an alert that one of your family members has died, and these are the funeral arrangements, and are you going to be there? And if you click this link, and because they can try 100 different times in 100 different ways, eventually everyone does, your phone now belongs to whoever sent you that message. You have been hacked by this product. Now the scary thing is, because of refinements in this practically criminal product, and it has a real name because this is a real life example, it's called Pegasus. It's now being reported that they no longer need you to click anything. No user interaction is necessary. All they need is your phone number, and they can hack your phone. Now, from that point on, everything in the entire history of that phone, they can instantly and immediately copy. And everything that happens on your phone from that day forward, every place you go, everyone you call, everything you read, every photograph, or because they can turn on your camera and they can turn on your microphone whenever they want, not just when you want it. Everything that simply passes by that device, everything your phone is a part of, they are now a part of. I want you to reflect on that capability and the nature of it being created and provided by this, Russian enterprise. And think about this from the legal angle. In their defense, they say they only sell this under contract to legitimate customers, only to law enforcement agencies, only to police, only to governments, and only for the purpose, under the contract, of targeting terrorists and criminals. Does that sound better? So many people today, around the world, in developed societies, right? We're not talking crazy authoritarian regimes. We're not talking Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, whoever you don't like. But we're talking about France. We're talking about Germany. We're talking about the United States. We're talking about Israel. They believe the rule of law and the legality of a thing is the beginning and the end of the conversation. But I want to remind you that the legality of a thing is very different from the morality of it. If a company sells a product with a single purpose, breaking into the devices relied upon by private individuals, from you to journalists to judges to, and I'm not making this up, the president of the Mexican Senate, who was in opposition at the time, how can this be the kind of situation we want to find ourselves in? Their only product is access to other people's belongings. Their only product is access to the things sitting in your pocket right now. And the most important thing to understand out of anything I'm going to say tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Under all these laws, this is not a crime. Business model of commercializing public insecurity is the biggest threat to the future of cybersecurity that no one is talking about. We know about Facebook. We know about Google. We know about all of the telecommunications networks and their willful collaboration with governments, even beyond what the law allows. But this is coming, and it's coming quickly, because even if you trust Israel, even if you trust French companies to do the same thing, these companies do not have a monopoly on this business model. Russia is doing the same thing. China is doing the same thing. And we are creating a dynamic in which the insecurity of critical infrastructure is profitable. These are the things that nobody wants us to know, but everybody needs to know. And it is this principle that's all too easy to forget in our comfortable lives, of accepting risk on an individual level in order to improve things on a collective level that moves us toward a better world. Now, this question that I ask you tonight, is it better, is it worse? what's going on with surveillance, are things improving, is not the real question. The question that I asked tonight should be very familiar because you heard it 5 years ago. This wasn't about surveillance. Surveillance was the mechanism of discussion, but the fundamental topic was democracy and the disempowerment of the public. The fact that we are being transformed from citizens, partners to government, instead to subjects of it. The world that we live in is one that we did not design, we did not approve, and we do not control. The question, ladies and gentlemen, is what are you going to do about it? This is changing the world. Some could say the change has already happened. They've got lists about everybody. They've got lists, more lists than Santa Claus, and you're on all of them. You have been hacked. But this is coming, and it's coming quickly. These are the things that nobody wants us to know, but everybody needs to know. We wouldn't know about any of this if people weren't willing to take risks to tell us, the public, what is being hidden from us. Whenever a great institution, a great power, a great government is embarrassed or their policies are called into question in a way that challenges their power on a fundamental level, right? Not at the edges, not in a way they can easily change, but something that goes right to the heart of what they claim in authority is that belongs to them and them alone. They say these people are traitors.
Do you think he's a traitor?
I know he damaged the country, and the Obama administration will deal with it.
I've got to be careful here, Major, because Mr. Snowden is under indictment. He's been charged with crimes, and I can't weigh in specifically on this case at this point.
You think Edward Snowden was a traitor in revealing that?
I can never condone what he did. You know, he stole millions of documents. And the great irony is the vast majority of those documents had nothing to do with American civil liberties, privacy, or anything affecting us here at home. They were about information we had vis-a-vis China, Russia, Iran, others.
If I am a traitor, as these generals and presidents and all these figures say, the John Kerrys of the world, who is it that I betrayed? The information that I revealed didn't go to the Chinese, it didn't go to the Russians, it didn't go to the Brazilians, it didn't go to the French. It went to American journalists, right? That all made an independent editorial determination. Not just this is what some crazy guy at the NSA thought the world needed to know. Not just Americans, but everyone needed to know. But what the newspapers thought the world needed to know. This is why we have a free press in open societies. The whole reason they exist is to challenge the monopoly on information held by the most powerful and influential members of our society. The only things we know about the worst things they've done is because someone took a risk to tell us. And if telling the public about things of vital democratic importance, right? The boundaries of your rights, the kind of world that you live in, is now treason. It's the act of a traitor. That means the government considers the public the enemy. And if that's the case, that's the side that I want to be on. This isn't about names. This isn't about programs. This isn't about law. The problem is deeper. It is structural. We, our generation, is witnessing the greatest redistribution of power in civil society since the Industrial Revolution. What does that mean? Exciting words, right? How did it happen? A generation ago, surveillance was extremely expensive. Every government had to spend extraordinary sums, amounts of money, to track individuals. To know somebody's location, just their location required teams of officers, both in buildings and out on the streets, that were working across many different shifts. Today, that dynamic is reversed. One guy sitting in front of a desk, in front of a monitor, in the air conditioning, can now track with precision unimaginably large numbers of people. And this is for the first time in human history that this is really possible, both technically and financially, for both governments and corporations. Start to not just see what an individual is doing, but for the mass of the public. And from the things they see, without even using human eyes, but electronic ones, to start to collate, to collect, index, and save nearly complete records of all of our lives, all of our daily activities. It doesn't matter whether you're a criminal, it doesn't matter whether you're an innocent, because under these regimes of bulk collection, as they call them, or mass surveillance, as the public calls them, things are collected in advance of suspicion, just in case they think it's interesting later on. And they say, well, if we don't read these things, if we simply collect them, it's not a violation of your rights, because a human can look at it, a machine. And the idea of an unconsidered thought, the youthful indiscretion, the forgotten mistake, the picture of us drinking when we were younger at a party that our parents didn't know about, just being among friends, those are starting to sound quaint for a forgotten time. These are things that no longer exist. Mistakes that don't follow us. Everything follows us. And think about what that means for just the human psyche. Who remembers precisely what they were doing on this evening just a few weeks ago? How about a few months ago? How about a few years ago? None of you, probably. I don't. But the spies at your intelligence services, they do. They've got lists about everybody. They've got lists, more lists than Santa Claus. And you're on all of them.